It's time to do that weekend review. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's time for the Nerd Castle Weekend Review, the series that was backed by our Patreon supporters. So if you like this series, say thank you to a Patreon supporter because their donations enabled this series to get made. If you've never been around for the weekly review series, it's where bi-monthly, there we go, I was getting my timestamps wrong. Anyways, what it means is that every 2 weeks on Sunday, we're going to sit down and have a chat about the way things are going on the channel. It's not necessarily meant to be like a funny or entertaining type video, but at the end of the day, it's meant to be a status update so that the people that have backed and supported the channel have now sort of subsidized the creation of content that will let you all know where the channel is going in the future. And I think that's actually very, very important because it's easy sometimes. It's very, very easy sometimes to not really know what YouTubers are thinking when they do certain content. And right now, we're kind of floating aimless. That's the truth of the matter for the channel, and so I feel like these updates are even more important because there's nothing really new coming out. We're not really planning on doing anything, and so it's important for me to kind of show up on screen and just be like, yeah, everything's going to be cool. I'm going to be Twitch streaming a little bit more. But aside from that, what do we have going on at the channel right now? Well, I stayed up late last night, really, really late. In fact, I was up till almost 5 in the morning last night after the Star Wars premiere, just hyped. I saw Star Wars, really, really pleased with the way that it went. I had a couple minor foibles with it. Not going to post any spoilers here. There was like 1 or 2 things that bothered me that I did not like about it. But aside from that, I thought the film was really, really great. I think they're going in a good direction with it. But the things, I know people are going to, so what did you think was wrong with it? Well, I don't know if people want to know that, but I'm going to say it anyways because I have a microphone. I think that the casting was a little weird with Kylo Ren. Like that driver actor, I just don't like him. He kind of reminds me of that guy from Grandma's Boy who's like, sit on my face. Like, that's who he reminds me of, and I just can't take him seriously. That might be more on my end than anything else, but I don't know. I just didn't like the casting. But other than that, I liked everything else with the casting. It's just that one guy that for some reason didn't do it for me. And then also, I think they played it very, very safe with the plot. I think they definitely didn't get outside their shell with it. But aside from that, it was a fantastic Star Wars film. I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how many episodes they can mash out. Keep it going forever. Although it makes me wonder where they could actually go with it, because now I think LucasArts has said none of the books are canon anymore. None of the comic books are canon anymore. So now that Disney has taken over the intellectual property, we might see some fairly serious retconning of the way like Cade Skywalker and all that sort of stuff goes down the line. Still, they're in a very, very good spot right now to do a very long run of Star Wars, and it's needed because Star Wars has sucked now for like 10 years, and I've been forced to cling to the original movie since the prequels came out and just pretend like the prequels didn't happen. I'm glad that the post-quels have come out now, and they are not bad. They are, in fact, quite good, and I enjoyed them all the way through. And the little things that I didn't enjoy were just like little things from me being like, plot hole. I don't like that, but it didn't ruin the movie for me, surprisingly enough. I am a cynic like that. Like, sometimes all it takes is the smallest thing to ruin a film for me. But I really, really like the Star Wars franchise. I really like the new Star Wars film. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm sure it's already on your radar, and you're probably going to go see it. But I'm probably going to see it maybe another 2 times. I'll probably see it 1 or 2 more times. I just kind of want to get in there now and see all the special effects and stuff in the background. I paid attention to the main storyline. Now I want to look at stuff in the background and be like, oh, that's kind of cool over there. Oh, that's kind of cool over there. Things I loved about the new Star Wars. I love the way they made all the CGI look animatronic. In fact, some of it might have been animatronic. It seems like they did a lot more Muppet type stuff, like Jim Henson type things. I like the fact that they did that. It felt very, very reminiscent of the originals, and so I thought that was really cool. I felt like the pacing was pretty good. The whole movie is just like go, 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 go the entire time, which I think is a good idea to get people saddled back in and wanting to move. I think they could have spent a little bit more time telling us who Finn is or who Rey was, but there will be more movies for that. In fact, I wanted to know more about Finn because I love Stormtroopers. One of my favorite comic books ever from the Star Wars universe is a mini-series they did. It was just like this little one-off story called Noob, and it was about a stormtrooper on his first deployment, and it was very Vietnam-like. It had kind of like a, I don't know, like a Full Metal Jacket type feel to it, and it was very, very awesome. It was gritty, it was dark, and ever since then, I've just been fascinated and in love with stormtroopers, and so I was hoping we get a little bit more love for Finn in there and learn more about his past. But there's more movies. There's things to look forward to and be excited with. As far as the channel goes, we are stagnant right now. We don't have a lot of new things going on. You will note that every series we have running has like 50 episodes right now, and that means that we are definitely slowing down. We are breaking and coming to a stop. Now, there are things that I want to do with the channel, but right now I'm waiting on updates for the games that I want to play in the future. So, for example, things that I'm looking at, Battle Brothers. With Battle Brothers, I'm waiting for them to drop the next patch, which I'm assuming will come around somewhere around Christmas. It's been 3 months since the last update, which was orcs and goblins and kind of tribes and all that sort of thing. I want to play Battle Brothers again, but it's still a little light on content. The battles are fun. The game is still good, but I'm waiting to see what they do with kind of like the warring city-states and the factions and things of that nature. I don't want to dig in for a series that's only going to last like 10 episodes. I know I've gotten a lot of requests for Subnautica and Stranded Deep. Those are definitely on my radar. They may happen. At the moment, I'm actually waiting for series to end. And so let's start from the top here. Long Dark, we hit episode 42 and we lucked out. I was getting ready to start tapering off the series, but then they dropped a new patch. Brand new content patch that adds Timberwolf Mountain, a new zone. It adds a whole bunch of new gear. There's now a pistol in the game. There's a bunch of new stuff that we haven't seen, and so I think that revitalizes the gameplay a little bit for me. We still have 2 zones. They give you a journal system now, so you know how much of the map you've explored. It says we've only searched 60% of the map, so I'm assuming we've got Timberwolf Mountain and we've got Mystery Valley still that we haven't been to, and so I wanted to get in on those, take a look, have a good time with that. I'll probably keep Long Dark going for a while. Worst case scenario is we start tapering it off and doing an episode like every 2 days or something like that if I need to take up its place so that we can hit certain metric goals. At this point, the channel is already down by like 30-40% at the moment. I'm not really worried about it. I've accepted where it's at right now, but I want to finish the series that we have going before I move on to other things, because we're so far into certain series right now that viewer retention is taking a hit. But at the same time, I'm so far in that it seems like a waste not to finish, and I don't want to be that guy that gets 70 episodes into a series and then doesn't have some kind of resolution. I just don't like doing that. Mountain Blade, I did it because I felt like we were going to steamroll the map anyways, and it was just taking forever. We had already conquered like a fat chunk of Vaegir land. We had already conquered a big chunk of Nordland, and I was like, well, the writing's on the wall for all the other factions now. We're up and started. We have like 600 guys in our army, so it felt like you could just kind of extrapolate mentally and be like, yeah, we were totally going to win. We haven't lost a battle in like 50 episodes. But with things like Long Dark and Fallout where they have endings in the content, I want to see it all. Don't Starve Shipwrecked. I like Don't Starve Shipwrecked. I'm hoping we're about 2-3 weeks into its release right now. I keep hoping Clay will drop another patch that'll have a little bit of content. We're right around that point. Clay likes to drop like monthly or, every 2 months they like to drop a content patch on Don't Starve. And so I'm looking forward to it because I think Shipwrecked is a very, very good expansion. I like the sailing mechanics of it all. I like what they've gone for, and I can't wait to see how it gets integrated with the rest of the game, because supposedly Shipwrecked is going to integrate with the main vanilla game so that you can kind of like leave for the islands and come back, and you'll be back in Reign of Giants and things like that. So it just becomes this big sprawling thing that you can just do forever. Kind of like Minecraft. They're making it more and more complicated and more in depth as time goes along. But for right now, we died in 2 episodes ago, I guess, but I started thinking by the time this will go live. And so we're going to start up with a new character. We're going to get it going. I'm going to give it another try. If we die again, I'll probably call it until they content patch it. But aside from that, I'm really, really liking the series. It definitely lives up to the high standard of quality that I expect from Clay Entertainment. And so honestly, they're one of my favorite games in they're one of my favorite developers in indie gaming right now. I think that they're a very, very solid company. I can't wait to see what they do in the future. They're getting bigger, they're getting better, and yet their polish level remains the same, and their care to detail remains the same, which I think is a very, very good forewarning. They don't strike me as the sort of company that focuses specifically on profits, because they'll take a long time to release a project just to make sure that it's perfectly polished. You know what I mean? And so I haven't had any crashes. The entire game's been looking really, really good to me. I've had a fantastic time with it. Looking forward to seeing what we could do with a new character. If we haven't uploaded yet, we start out with Willow, I think, is the next character that we end up playing. And I like her and her lighter. And I never play Willow when I play that game. I usually play Wilson, Woody, or Wendy. But I very, very rarely play Willow. And so it'll be a unique experience for me. Morheim. Morheim's kind of in a weird place right now where I enjoy the game, but ultimately I feel like the whole thing has become sort of negative, both in terms of, I don't know, the comments have become very, very caustic and things like that on some of the episodes, very accusatory, and it's just not something I feel like dealing with. And so I've been thinking about breaking it off just because people don't want to watch me play the game my way. I'm just here trying to have a good time, and unfortunately, with people constantly slinging darts at me, I'm not having a good time with it anymore. Like, every time I record it, I'm just like, ugh. I may keep it going. I'm going to kind of see. We're at a good spot with it. Like, our warband's doing perfectly fine. And so anyway, I think there's a lot of interesting dynamics going on right now with that series. And whereas I enjoy the game, my interaction with the Morheim community in general has been kind of negative. I think that with what we have going on right now, there's a lot of games out there that I'd like to throw up. Like, Underrail just came out, and I'd like to play Underrail. I don't know how well it's going to go. I'm going to play it over the weekend. I was going to actually just, like, YOLO it right now The game just came out this morning and they sent me a key. I've been waiting for it to release because I love Fallout and it looked exciting. It looked just like the original Fallout. However, I was looking on the forums and it seems to me as though a lot of people have said that it's a very, very difficult game. And so jumping into it blind might be a lapse in my sanity or a lapse in my decision-making process. And so what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to play it over the weekend and see if I can at least get a rudimentary understanding of the way that the various systems work. And then if it ends up being something that really grips me and grabs me, I'm going to go ahead and throw up maybe like a little mini-series on it or something next week or maybe the week after that. Maybe give it a little bit of time because I don't think anybody's interested in watching me blunder around another strategy game right now. I'd rather make the series as good as it can be rather than something that I'm just kind of ad-libbing and flying by the seat of my pants. Fallout 4, I keep waiting for it to end. Like, I'm ready for Fallout to end, and yet they keep just extending the storyline out, and it's not even boring. That's the problem, is that it's not like they're dragging their feet with the storyline and being like, ugh, this is so drudgery. This is so drudgerous. There we go, make up a new word. In fact, the storyline is good. The further into the game I go, the more I like the storyline and the more addicted I get to it, but at the same time, as a content creator, I'm ready for it to be over. Like, I need resolution right now, and yet I can't decide between the factions, and so I end up playing, like, the front 5 missions for every faction, trying to figure out who the good guy is, because everybody's got their own motives in that game. You know, the Institute kind of portrays themselves as the good guys. The Railroad portrays themselves as the good guys, even though they're hopelessly naive. Institute portrays themselves as the good guys, even though they're hopelessly cruel. The Minutemen show themselves as the good guys, but, you know, you're always the good guy until you become the bad guy. These are people that are struggling for power right now, and if there's one thing that history's taught us, it's that rebellions can go either way. In the history of every nation ever, rebellions can take a dark turn very, very quickly. Like, they can start out idealistic, and they can start out basically entrenched with a foundation of good ideas and democracy and all that sort of thing, and then they can take a turn overnight and just turn into a horrible bloodbath. And so who knows what'll happen when the Minutemen take over. I mean, with the main character as the leader, maybe things would be okay, but one leader doesn't do it. One leader doesn't live forever, you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of options right there, and it's difficult to decide who you want to go with because everybody has their flaws. The Brotherhood of Steel, they're genocidal maniacs, so you know they're going to wipe out everybody once they take power. They're going to do a culling, and that's going to be unfortunate, so it's... I don't know, right now it's seeming like the Minutemen or the Railroad are the right choice, but the Railroad talks about things like giving vending machines sentience and stuff, and so I don't know if I can trust their hopeless naivete either. It's just a lot for me to latch onto. Don't know whose side I'm going to be on. I think the Institute overall would be better for humanity if we were looking to basically regrow humanity, reestablish technology, and get back to where we were the quickest. I think the Institute is probably the best call. If you were looking for stability in the wasteland, the Brotherhood's probably the best call. If you were looking for stability in a political system, Minutemen are the best call. And that's one of the reasons why, it's tough with the Railroad because they just want to free the robots. That's all that they want. And then what are they going to do with the rest of the time? Like, are they actually interested in governing the wasteland? Like, is that even a thing that's part of their MO? Is that, like, anything they want to do in the future? And so, as you can see, there's a lot of considerations to be made. I might be overthinking it. But honestly, I don't like loaning power to people like that. It just makes me feel very, very nervous. I'm ready for Fallout 4 to be over, though. Like, I've been trying to haul ass through the storyline as much as possible in the episodes that we have. And the storyline is fascinating, but I think from a channel standpoint, I'm ready for it to, like, go in its own direction and walk off into the distance with the sad Hulk music. That's pretty much all that we have going on right now. I knew for a fact that it was going to be a very, very slow weekend review. There's nothing new to really report aside from that. The games that I'm currently looking at, Under Rail, I'm looking at a playthrough on Battle Brothers once it gets a content update. Looking at a playthrough of Satellite Rain. I'm looking at, basically, I have a lot of things lined up that will be replacing the current content that we have. It's just tough. And then in January, we've got a whole new docket. Like, the January release season is going to be like Bam Bam Bomb. There's lots of stuff coming out there. And so if I can just keep our head up above the water until then, it'll be fine. I do recommend that everybody check out the stream. I've been streaming a lot more heavily lately. I've been putting in 4, 5, 6 hour streams a lot lately. Trying to get the stream up and running. That's been doing a great job. The last stream we had, we did almost 100 followers. We had a bunch of subscribers. And so the stream is turning into kind of this hustly, bustly, very, very fun thing that we've been doing. And so I would like to invite all of you to join me if you haven't seen it yet. If you were worried about the Loot Crate videos, I haven't done a Loot Crate video in a while because I got my Loot Crates very late. And so I got my November Loot Crate on like December 12th. And so I'm just going to do a double crate this month. Don't worry about it. It's all on you. It's on the United States Postal Service's back. There's nothing I can really do about it, but we're going to do a double crate this month where I unbox the November and the December since the other one came at a weird time. That's where they've gone. I haven't canceled it or anything like that. Q&A, maybe making a comeback in the next week. I didn't get enough questions to do it last time, and so like there was more statements. Like the video said it had 90 comments, but most of them were just like statements, and a lot of the questions were things that I didn't really. I don't know. I'll have to go back and check it again. But I need a little bit of a breather. Weekly Indie Newcomer, if you didn't, with YouTube, they didn't send out the notification for the last Weekly Indie Newcomer episode, so if you didn't see it, it was Super Indie Carts, which is basically a Super Nintendo Mario Kart wannabe. Very, very cool little game. I highly recommend that you check it out. This week, we're going to be taking a look at a game called Turnover, which is not about dessert foods. It's actually about futuristic corporate takeovers in a dystopian world. Kind of a stealth game. Hotline Miami meets Metal Gear Solid. A very, very interesting little title that's very smooth and well designed. I had a good time with it when I was playing it, and so you can look forward to that. It probably actually already dropped yesterday, but I'm not sure what the scheduling is going to be with the whole thing. This has been the Weekend Review Series with me, Splattercat, here at the Nerd Castle. If you like this series, say thank you to a Patreon supporter because it was by their donations alone that this series got enabled and made. This was one of the little threshold goals that once they got it to a certain amount of money a month that they were donating, bam, you get this. The next one up, I think, is Splattercat and Friends, where I invite other LPers over, other internet personalities over. We sit and we chat for a little while about nothing. And aside from that, I hope that you enjoyed the videos. If you wanted to get to the Patreon, it's down below. I don't hype it very much, but when I do video logs, I try to give it at least a little bit of publicity because I find that most people don't know about the ways they can support the channel. Also, you can go to twitch.tv/SplatterCatGaming if you want to hang out with me during my long streams I've been doing lately. We play all sorts of games there. It's a variety stream. We shoot the shit. We have a good time. We toe the line. Occasionally, things go a little too far, but it's always a lot of fun. I hope to see you all there. With that all said, I will see you in 2 weeks with the next Nerd Castle Weekend Review. Hi to everybody.